Today is May 10th, 2023, and I got the green theme going on because I want to talk about that green. I don't mean money, I mean weed, marijuana. You see, I used to smoke marijuana pretty much every day for a number of years. There were times here and there where I wouldn't do it if I, had to study for an exam or something. But for the most part, I smoked pot pretty much every day. I was high all the time. Basically, alcohol and marijuana were my two main drugs. I did other stuff, harder drugs, but those were more sporadic and not an everyday occurrence like weed and alcohol were. And a lot of states have moved forward with marijuana legalization, and I guess I can see decriminalizing it as being okay, but straight up legalization is not going to be good for society. Marijuana really messes with someone's mind, and I know from firsthand experience. Growing up, my parents always told me, don't do drugs, don't drink. But I also knew that they hadn't really done much, if any, of that themselves. And so I was always like, how do you know? I want to learn this for myself. I want to try this stuff out and see for myself. How can you say something's bad if you've never done it? Well, here I am, someone who did it for years, and I'm also going to tell you it's bad for you. You see, at first, when I tried it, it was great. I had a blast. It was a ton of fun. I felt this new feeling I'd never felt before, and it made everything funny, and it heightened my senses and just made me see the world in a different way. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. And I didn't see any negative side effects. I was like, okay, I did it and I'm fine. Look, I'm still here. I'm not sick. Nothing happened. My mind still works. And so I kept doing it. And for a good amount of time, it was a fun thing to do, and I didn't really experience the negative side effects of it. But then later down the road, that stuff did start happening. It came to a point where when I would smoke, it was like playing the slot machine. And every so often I would win, and the thing I would win was a panic attack. So it was random, didn't know when it would happen, but every so often, just straight up panic attack. The rest of the time it was fine. And then that anxiety started increasing, and it got worse. So the panic attacks started happening more often. But the problem was, when I wasn't on weed, I also felt horrible because I'd done it every day for so long that I just wasn't used to being sober, and it felt weird, and the world just felt boring and gray and lifeless, and I felt, awful when I wouldn't do it, but then I would smoke to try and get rid of those feelings, and I would often have a panic attack. or at least extreme anxiety. But it got to the point where I felt horrible whether I did it or whether I didn't do it. It was like I was stuck in this perpetual cycle and never able to get out. And it actually took breaking my back to give me the opportunity to stay off of it long enough that my brain started resetting. So if you do a substance like alcohol or weed or whatever for a really long period of time, your brain adapts to it. And so when you come off of it, you need time to let your brain reset. But eventually that did happen, and I started feeling normal when I was sober. I started feeling good when I was sober, and my thoughts started clearing up. I was able to think more coherently. I was less caught up in my head and able to express myself better. And it really, I'm happy to be sober now. Like, I don't even have the desire to get high anymore or to get drunk anymore. But there was a lot of suffering and a lot of bad decisions I made because I smoked weed for so long. And I mean, like, alcohol too, and other drugs mixed in there, here and there. But weed and alcohol really caused me to make some bad decisions. You know, I was unmotivated. Like, I had no goals. All I wanted to do was just get high and have fun. And I didn't focus my mind on anything worthwhile. I spent a ton of money. The amount of money I spent on drugs and alcohol is incredible, super high. Not to mention, like, buying stupid stuff because I was high. You know, I might have went and bought a ton of junk food and filled my body with crap junk food on top of messing up my mind with these substances. So even though it's becoming more acceptable in society to use marijuana now, with it being legalized in many states, I wouldn't recommend it. Not if you want your mind to stay sharp, if you want to keep your motivation, if you don't want to have major anxiety. And a whole bunch of other reasons, just save you money, whatever. There's a lot of reasons not to do it, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. So that's all I've got for today. Peace.